Okay, today my guest is Professor Bernard Yeung. I will keep my introduction short to maximize our time with him. In the next 30 minutes or so, we'll talk about Bernie as a person, Professor Yeung as a thought leader and an esteemed scholar, and finally as a mentor to many PhD students and junior faculty. For the sake of time, I will skip many of his accomplishments and give you a very quick snapshot. Bernie is a fellow of the AIB and the president of the Asian Bureau of Finance and Economic Research. In addition to his academic publications, his writings appear in international media outlets such as the People's Daily, the Financial Times, The Economist, and the Wall Street Journal. He won the Public Administration Silver Medal in Singapore, the Irwin Outstanding Educator Award, and several best paper awards such as the 2010 SMS Conference and 2007 China International Conference in Finance. He was a member of the Economic Strategies Committee, the Social Science Research Council, and the Financial Research Council of the Monetary Authority in Singapore. He sits on the advisory boards of several universities and serves as a non-executive director of the Bank of China Aviation Limited. Thank you, Bernie, for joining us.
Thank you.
First question, what did you want to become when you were a child?
When I was a child, I did not know better, and I want to be a judge. I find that being a judge sounds like really fascinating because, as you can guess, I'm judgmental. But as I grow up, I know very quickly that I really know very little, and I should not jump to judgment, I should not jump to conclusion. But I do feel that the other side of me wanting to be a judge is that I want to help people. I want to correct wrongs and so on and so forth. And I find out that being an academic is a wonderful profession because I have the luxury of finding facts and try to seek truth from facts, and also be able to create knowledge and be able to inform people. And I think information is very empowering. And so all my childhood passion and what I'm doing right now, I see a lot of consistency here. Admitting that I really do not know enough and I should work hard to find facts, and hopefully I can seek truth from facts and inform people.
Thank you. How did you choose IB? Why did you choose IB of all the fields?
I think it's very natural in the sense that I was raised in Hong Kong. In a way, I'm really a colonial subject. But Hong Kong is in between the East and West. It's very international. Our daily newspaper is not about what happens in Hong Kong, but what happens around the world. And also, Hong Kong is a trading port. So there's a lot of things about international trade and international finance. And it is a city where different kinds of culture, different kind of practices are branded together. So I find it just very natural for me to get into IB. And when I was at the University of Chicago, my supervisor is a professor in international business. His name is Michael Muser. But you know, in Chicago, everything is economics. International business is just international economics. However, very naturally, because I like Michael so much, I follow him and I read his articles. No time, I find out that I am a graduate of IB. But very honestly, when I teach my first IB course, I had no idea what I was getting into. I treat IB as international economics. I learned over the years from all the founding fathers of our discipline, and I learned a lot from them.
What is something not on your CV? What is something interesting that you would like to share with the audience?
Something interesting not on my CV that I'd like to share with the audience. I think it's something not on my CV, but would like to share with people is that, as we all do, we grow up, and there are a lot of things that we are not happy with. There exists a lot of dissatisfaction. And what I hope is that we learn to work hard to convert our dissatisfaction into something constructive that can help people, that can help myself, make my life more fulfilling, and also that through my act, through what my heart, and through my work, that I'm able to bring something good to other people. That's how I move along from just doing research, just teaching, to getting involved in administration and setting up institutions and so on. I would just want everyone to know that we all should have a mission in our life. We all should embrace that there are things that we are not happy with and channel that into something constructive and be positive, be helpful to yourself, your own life, and to other people.
If you stop doing what you're doing today, what would you do next? What is the second best alternative career path?
There's no second best. I would do what I will still what I do. I would just go back to school, pick up, do some study, and do readings, and let referees beat me up and say I'm not clever enough. That's fun.
Let's talk about regrets. What is the one thing that you wish you would have done but you didn't?
It's very hard to say. There were so many things I wish I did not do. But to put them all together, I think the things I wish I did not do was not to overestimate my own limit, be as humble as I could. And also, I would urge myself when I was young to learn to be a better writer and to be a better communicator. Like I grew up and raised in Hong Kong, I had a lot of challenges in my language. The challenge is basically that I don't think I can write that well, and I still think that I'm not a good writer. But when I got into economics and so on, at the very beginning, it's very easy to mask yourself, your incompleteness, your lack of thoroughness in your thinking, the lack of clarity in your thinking in terms of notations or in terms of jargons. And I really admire people who can make very complicated things transparent and simple, because that's the beauty of human mind. Be able to translate complicated things into something that's so transparent, so crystal clear, to empower other people to think as well as they can. And so anything, I would say, realize my limitation early on, work on it. And one of this is that I really wish that I could learn to be a better writer when I was in grade school.
What are you most proud of?
Nothing. No, I really don't think that. I wouldn't say what I'm most proud of, but I feel very blessed in my career. I met many I'm not proud of, but I feel very blessed that I have many good people who help me along and to help me to develop better. I mentioned my supervisor. When I was an undergraduate student, there were professors like David Laidler and so on. And then another math professor, they put in special attention to me and gave me, one of the professors gave me a one-on-one course and benefit me substantially. And by the way, what he did allow me to recognize that I'm no material to be a math professor. And then like I remember when I was first starting the IB field, there's some really very great, I would call them intellectual giants like Mark Carson and Peter Buckley, they have been very helpful to me in encouraging me and helping me to understand the mission of our discipline. So I feel very blessed. Another thing that I feel very blessed is that I had great students. I learned a lot from my students, and I sincerely feel that my students are better than me. I should pay them tuition. I learn a lot from them. And the most wonderful thing in human beings is that it's okay to admit your incompetence. It's okay to admit your inadequacy and be able to work with other people and push one another's mind better. Because our profession is really to develop information, to stimulate thinking, to develop knowledge, and to really work for enlightenment of our own mind, our own soul, and for society.
Perfect. Let's talk about research. Now, imagine you're stranded in a small village. You sought refuge in a small neighborhood pub. Locals are curious about who you are, what you do for a living. How do you summarize your research to this audience, and how do you explain the importance of your studies?
I think it's very well, since I'm an old man, to try to summarize my research in a few minutes, I think it's not quite the right thing to do, in my opinion. I can misrepresent my co-authors and I can misrepresent the discipline. But let me try to put it this way. What I appreciate is that it takes a village, it takes many scholars, that when they write, they have some real curiosity in mind. And they know that they're looking for an answer that can really help people. When we research, when we push one another, it's not about writing a paper. It's really about expanding the boundary of knowledge. It's really about asking the right question. And it's really about how we can use our work to create value in society. Now my age is coming back to me. What is your question again? What I'm proud of?
What is the
summary of my research?
Yeah.
So the summary of my research is really about working together with many, many people to learn how we can create value. Maybe I'll say the following. Whether we're talking about finance, economic, strategy, or IB, it's really about how human beings can organize themselves to create value and to have inclusive growth. When I was a teenager, I remember that I was in a social study class, and the teacher was talking about technological improvement, and he was also talking about population control, birth controls, and so on and so forth. And he said he made the following statement. He said, "But actually, we have enough for the world. It's just we human beings mess up, and so we have poverty." By the way, the background of this was the photo exhibit of hundreds of thousands of people and children in Ethiopia that was starving to death. So that was the background. And he made the point, it is human beings' shortcomings, mismanagement, misorganization, that we destroy value and allow all these bad things to happen. That's what he said. I don't think he fully understands what he's saying, nor do I fully understand what he's saying, even now. But from that on, his words push me to seek an answer. What do we mean by organizing ourselves better to create value and to bring more happiness, better livelihood to as many people as possible? Business is a part of this. International business is a part of this. Economic is a part of this. Economic strategy, economic policy, micro, macro, all this has a purpose. Let's try our best to approximate the path for a better world, to raise as many people's livelihood as possible, and to bring as much happiness and improvement in livelihood to as many people as possible.
Well, you said you cannot do it, but it was very clear. Thank you. So what are a few of the omitted variables in IB research? Something that we don't regularly study, but we should, underutilized items in IB?
I think I dare not answer this question because I do not feel that I know enough about what is done adequately and what is done excessively. And I said earlier on, I learned not to make judgment, but I learned to appreciate what IB is about. We really address fundamental questions. And we try to address questions, and I would take it as a globalized the creation of value in a way that we bring a very rich collection of disciplines, be it economics, strategy, sociology, psychology, political science, and everything. If you look into the IB discipline, we find out that we are very cross-disciplinary, and we try to bring many things together to bear fruit on very sharp questions to make life better. So that's what I appreciate. And if anything about IB that I would like to urge people to do, and I don't feel that I'm successful at all, I don't feel I'm successful enough, is to go beyond just IB. When we write paper, when we read paper, don't put on a label on what is IB, what is not IB. Don't put on a label on this is economics, this is sociology, this is psychology, this is mathematics, this is finance. No, don't. I think what we should do is to try our best to be as intellectually honest and comprehensive as possible. And don't self-impose boundary, because if anything, we want to be able to contribute not just to a narrow discipline called IB, but to many of the disciplines that we draw our trade from, that we draw our discipline to thinking, that we draw our methodology from. So for me as an IB person, I hope that I would be able to make contribution in finance, in international economics, and of course, strategy and so on and so forth.
This is very impressive. You always start the answer, oh, I cannot answer that one, and then you give a great answer. This is a great style. I really appreciate that one. About your creativity, your papers are very creative, very interesting. I'm really curious, what does your mind think of when it wanders freely in a state of idle curiosity? How does this creativity, or where does this creativity come from?
I beg your pardon. Where?
How do you come up with these creative ideas?
I'm. Let me say this. I really don't think I'm creative enough. I really don't think I'm imaginative enough. But I feel that when you stare at a question long and hard enough, you find that things do not add up. Then you try very hard to put things together. And try to make sense out of it. I remember when I first started my IB research, I think in JIPS, my first article probably is the work on counter trade. And there were a lot of comments and a lot of points about what counter trade is about, ranging from shortage of foreign exchange reserve, on and on and on. And I look at them, I find out, wow, gee, none of them really seems to make sense, and there's not a theoretical base for us to attack the problem on this curious observation that we bypass money, or do we really bypass money? And so it's about when you see something and you seek the fundamental basic principle, you cannot find it, then you know that, this is something that I really want to get onto. Then in my various other work, like when I was working with Will Mitchell and Miles Shaver, and we say a lot about this international, multinational, and how good they are. By then, I already finished my work on what explained what allow multinational structure to create value. I already finished that. Then I realized that, look, I'm really talking about a static endpoint situation. I'm already multinational. So, all this and that and so on. And so I find value. But how did I get there? So I remember spending a lot of time talking to Will Mitchell, talking to Miles Shaver, and say, how do we get there? And it turned out to be a fascinating journey for myself, for Miles, and for Will, and for many other people. And then I find out, of course, again, I'm humbled. I find out that many other people are working on this in a very fruitful way. And there are many eminent scholars that I benefit from by reading their work. So I don't think I have created anything. I don't think I've created anything that's really particularly imaginative or new. It's just about a meeting that I don't understand. Then somehow life would be fun. I think another thing like in finance that I find is like um, people talk about market efficiency, and then I say, wait a minute, if the market is so efficient, then why do people do event study? It must be the case that there's something new that's coming up. That's my various papers in finance journals about information content of asset prices. And so my feeling is that if anything, do the best you can to find something you don't understand, then you start to enjoy life and you start to enjoy research.
Last question in the research segment. Where do you see the IB research in the next 5 to 10 years? What's the next big thing?
I really do not know what's the next big thing, but I'm sitting in Singapore and I spent from 75 to 2008 in North America. And I moved to Singapore because I find that Asia is really changing in a fascinating way. And I feel that um, I wouldn't say the next big thing, but I hope that IB scholar in today's time that we contribute to create information, to allow people to understand and appreciate uh, uh, one another more. I sincerely hope that there's no East and West divide. I sincerely hope that the East, including China and so on, appreciate more the benefit they have drawn from the West development experience. And I sincerely hope that the West can appreciate what a great journey the East has gone through. And I sincerely hope that through our work, to me, I see IB as really about generating international, globalized understanding and cooperation. If we can contribute to make people understand, to make society, to make countries understand one another better, to communicate in more factual ways and meaningful ways, and to generate more global cooperation, and to allow more people to benefit from our economic progress and scientific progress. It would be fascinating. I'm here in Singapore. If I look at ASEAN together with China, that's roughly about 2 billion plus people. And if we can allow in the next 10 years for each of them to bring in another, let us say, 5,000, you try to multiply 2 billion by 5,000. It's a lot of value that we can create. The world would not have enough, the world would not have enough resources to support this kind of growth. But everyone deserves the opportunity to see daylight, to see growth. How we can do that, how we can make our world more efficient and effective so that there's more inclusive, impressive co-growth. And then the other thing, there are lots of things we worry about. We worry about climate change and we worry about aging population, particularly in developing countries. We have a lot of problems in front of us. And these problems are not uniquely in the domain of people in natural science or in economics or in sociology. They are also IB questions, because if we can help international cooperations to do better. Just imagine we can go to our retirement and go to our grave with a strong sense of fulfillment. whether Jeeps take my article or not.
Okay, let's talk about the final segments, the advice, the mentoring part. What was the best advice you received?
Have a fire in the belly, have a fire in the belly, intellectual honesty, and do things really because you have a purpose, not because you want your degree, not because you want your journal article. Life is much richer and much more rewarding if we're doing things because we have a positive purpose in mind. So I work with my students in always is about what is your value proposition? What are you trying to say? What is your question? Why is it important? How are you going to come up with the defendable or logically auditable answer? And how you're going to communicate this to people and recognize what is your contribution, and also be humble. I think that in our work, it always takes a lot of criticisms. Our society, in the intellectual society, the academics thrive on telling people that they're wrong. You go to a conference, the discussions, what do? They say you're wrong, you're not clever enough, etc., etc. But that's okay. This is how we progress. We take criticism and turn this into something motivating and constructive. And so I think it's like A, strive for excellence. B, integrity, intellectual honesty. C, work together with people, be generous, be inclusive, learn, teamwork. And the fourth one is innovative. Has other people done that? So what's your own angle? Then at the end of the day, there's one encompassing value. We do what we do because we care. Not because we want raise, not because we want promotion, tenure, acceptance, and that kind of stuff. We do it because we really care.
Interesting. Last question, what is the one question I should have asked you but didn't? And you will say, oh, you ask everything now.
I really don't know. I would say that in human life, I think one of the things that is really very scary is that we do not see our shortcoming. And so your question is, what's the question that you should have asked me? If I really know my shortcoming, then I know how to answer your question. But I do not know enough about my shortcoming other than that I'm a poor writer. So I don't know. I really hope that I continue to ask myself, and I share this with everybody, continue to ask people what I should improve on.
Bernie, I think this interview set a benchmark in humility. I mean, this is something, I've done many interviews with great scholars, and this is quite impressive. This is quite interesting. Thank you so much for your time. I learned a lot. I'm sure the audience will agree with me. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's so nice to see you again, and it's really delightful to see that you're making such good progress in your scholarship and in your career. And hello to your family, and also enjoy Christmas behind you.
Thank you.
You see that thing? What I mean is enjoy this new year, and may the COVID be away from you, and may you continue to help your students and help your colleagues. And thank you a lot for your contribution to the profession.
Thank you.